And welcome in to the Wheelhouse, your elevation 5280 sports and lifestyle. Matt Mascarenas, Michael Dillon, hanging out with you for the next hour or so on these Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning at this time. And we have a lot to get into this morning. And obviously, it's the NFL divisional playoffs, more on this coaching cycle. No one's really landed anywhere yet, but a lot of people have had interviews, so we'll get into that. We'll get into the two games that are going on today and also look around the other sports going on. MLB Hall of Fame is going to be announced on Tuesday, so I'm wearing my Rockies hat in favor of Todd Helton getting in. Matt, how are you this morning?
Go Rockies. Go Rockies.
By the way, speaking of, I'm starting my MLB Stadium tour this year, so I bought my first tickets in Phoenix for the Diamondbacks opening weekend, who are subsequently playing the Colorado Rockies.
Nice. That's gonna be fun, dude. I can't wait. Make sure you document that stuff for us so we can all watch that. That's so. I like those stadium tours. That's pretty cool. I wish I could have the I could want to do that. Maybe I should see golf courses would be something I'd want to do. Go and visit all the golf courses. But yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. I'm doing good today, Mike. I'm doing good. It's not as cold. It's going to be a warm day today, so we don't have to freeze our butts off here. And maybe we get outside and do some outside stuff. I mean, a lot of us been doing outside stuff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, not the typical. I don't do the typical Colorado outside stuff when it's snowing. So there you go. By the way, if you haven't noticed, it finally came in, Matt. Finally came in, my Booze jersey.
Yep, CC.
It finally came, and it fits perfect, just like we would have. And that's all I can say. It finally came in.
We wear caps and sleeves at this level, son. We wear caps and sleeves.
I got the cap, so and it's actually a baseball cap, Lou. So there you go. By the way, I want to get your quick not first impression, but we're a couple days removed from Embiid versus Joker. Obviously, that was a huge matchup going in. It was in Philly, Matt. So Joel Embiid was actually going to play. We'll see what happens here this next weekend, this next Saturday, the 27th, Matt, when Philadelphia comes strolling into town. Nuggets lose by 2 points. But what did you make of not only the matchup between Joker and Embiid, but the comments by Embiid afterwards saying what he said, that, there's a reason you're the best player in the league. You have a championship. Keep going. First of all, do you believe he said that to Nikola Jokic? And just what did you make of their matchup really quickly here to start things off?
I would, I think he said something like that to him. Those guys are cordial. They're cool with each other, and they understand what it is and what's going on. And but I think Embiid cares a little bit more about the singular stat line, the regular season wins and stuff like that, a little bit more than what Nikola does. And I think that's what Joel. If he's going to take that next step, he's got to realize that there's more to it than just the stats, So or MVPs, regular season MVPs, and I think if he did, when he said it at the end of the game and in the interview, and that's what he was kind of like, tipping his hat to Joker, because Joker realizes that Joker's on that level, he's on that mindset, and Joker has no interest in winning the MVP. And as far as the matchup goes, that was a fun game. And I was thinking the whole time, like, can you imagine 7 games of this just back and forth? And I was upset about how many people said that Embiid outplayed Nikola, or that that maybe they wanted Nikola to go at Embiid a little bit more, but you're not going to go shot for shot with Embiid. Nikola Jokic plays a different basket. I mean, we all know that. We all know this. So to say that just because if you look at the stat line, there's 40 points. Embiid had 40, and I think he had 10 assists, but he only had 7 rebounds. And that broke his 30-10 rebounding streak, at least scoring at least 30 points and having at least 10 rebounds. And I can't remember how many games it was, but it was a streak that he had going on. To me, that was important. The Nuggets destroyed the Sixers on the glass, especially the offensive glass. 16 offensive rebounds, I think it was, something like that. And that was telling. So to me, if you're going to look at the stat line and see 40 points to Nikola's 25 and say, you know, Embiid outplayed him, then you're not looking at the rebounds, where Joel has had a pretty high rebounding count until he played the Nuggets, until he played Nikola Jokic. Yeah, coming down the stretch, Joel Embiid made a lot of shots that put the Sixers up, but the Nuggets still were in there. They still had a chance to be in the game. They still had a chance to tie the game, still had a chance to win the game. So all I was thinking about that, and I'm coming away from that, Mike, is I hope Joel Embiid and the 76ers have their you-know-what together, and they can be there at the end, because we know the Nuggets will. We know the Nuggets have what it takes to get there. But I hope that the Sixers do, because I would love to see 7 games of that. Down at the end of that, and that right down at the end of the stretch, Joel came and hit some shots. Then Joker came down. He missed them. But if he makes those, and he's going to make them, there's going to be situations. In a 7-game series, he's going to make those shots, and it's going to go back and forth.
And the Nuggets couldn't make a shot in the fourth quarter anyway.
Right.
So they only scored 14 points in that fourth quarter and could not buy a bucket down the stretch. So, but then they get their legs back and go and end Boston's undefeated streak at home this season.
Crushed a lot of Bostonians' dreams, hopes, hearts. I mean, there were so many.
Which is right.
It was awesome.
Right. Yeah. So that, just wanted to get your impression. A lot of people were mad that Embiid and Joker didn't guard each other as much, because I don't know if it's a league thing, or because it was on primetime television, Matt, or if it was a team thing to not get each other into foul trouble by guarding each other. You saw Aaron Gordon a lot on Embiid. And when Joker was guarding him, Matt, he kind of had to play that roamer, you know, kind of that paint roamer. But Joker, yeah, like you said, Embiid was draining 25, 30 feet jumpers. I mean,
yeah.
And the Nuggets couldn't buy a bucket in that fourth. So
they're both basically unguardable. And I mean, Joel Embiid, when he gets to the elbow, or he gets to the nail, or just inside the top of the key, he's automatic. That's like a layup to him. And Joker can do whatever the hell he wants on anybody. And he's done that. And yeah, and I think, and that goes back to again a 7-game series. I think they play defense. Joker's not a roamer. He's not. Like he's got to be manned up on somebody. He's got to have something to do. He's not going to roam back and forth, because that's just not his game. And I don't think you're going to, in a 7-game series, you're going to see that kind of defense. That's why that's the series I wanted last year, and it's the series I want this year, especially after seeing that game. The Nuggets, I'm sorry, there's not a lot of teams that can go back and forth with the Nuggets in the 7-game series. I think Philly's won. I don't think Boston's won. I don't know how you think, Mike, but just watching that game, I never felt like the Boston Celtics were going to put the Nuggets away. I always felt like the Nuggets can come back, and Kristaps they don't have anything defensively for Nikola. Nothing. At least the Sixers can throw Embiid at him. Who else? They had a couple guys guarding him.
Well, they had Tobias Harris guarding him a lot.
Tobias was on him. Batum. They can run guys at him, and then have Joel trolling that paint. Kristaps Porzingis isn't that dude. Offensively, yeah, okay, but on the defensive end, he's not that guy. In a 7-game series, the Nuggets beat Boston in 5. I give Boston 2 games in a 7-game series with Denver.
And Boston they live and die by the 3-pointer.
Yeah, they do.
The only team that you've seen maybe in the last 20 years maybe,
yep,
that can win a championship, proven championship, living dying by the 3 is Golden State.
Right.
And they have 2 of the best 3-point shooters to ever do it on their roster. They're the only team that can, without really a true center, Matt. I mean, Golden State has had guys play out of position. Maybe Andrew Bogut was a true center. I don't know if he was on one of those. I think he was on one of those championship teams.
The first run, I think he was.
I mean, David Lee, I don't know if he was on any of those, but he didn't seem like a true center. He seemed more of a power forward.
Right.
I know New York, I know the Knicks, when they drafted David Lee, kind of thrusted him into that center position as well. But I mean, yeah, besides and who's the big dude they have now? I forgot his name. Looney, yeah, James Looney. He's probably a true center, but they really haven't had that big, a true 7-footer. I don't know how tall Looney is. He might be 7 foot. I don't know. Zero research, all reaction. So,
well, he's the closest they've had since and then Wiseman, didn't they trade him too?
Yeah.
They drafted him to be the big guy, and he wasn't happening. So you're right. And that's why when you look at the Western Conference too, like there's nobody that stacked up to stop Joel or to stop Nikola. And like you're saying that I don't think the Boston Celtics are the Golden State Warriors. They're not of back in that time. So, and then also you got Joe Mazzulla, man, that dude, in a 7-game series, Mike Malone is going to dog walk that guy right now. He's going to dog walk that guy.
You saw Eric Spoelstra in the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Yes.
Dog walk him.
And he gets, and
he made a bunch of horrible decisions in that series.
He did. I think it's just when you're comparing what the Nuggets are doing and what Nikola Jokic brings to the Nuggets, and you look at other teams, there's not a lot of teams out there that can stop him, and that was a perfect example of I think the 2 games, seeing what happened in Philly and then seeing what happened in Boston are 2 examples of different teams that in the Eastern Conference you want the Nuggets to hopefully play against in the finals. And I think I would hope for a Philly matchup more, because it would be fun, it'd be competitive. That's a big check mark in Nikola Jokic's box. I beat Joel Embiid. Boom. He's the greatest big of all time, in my opinion, if that happens. I'm sorry, Kareem. Sorry, Shaquille. He's the greatest big of all time if that happens, because that's what everybody wants him to do. Everybody's looking at Joel Embiid. Well, if Joel Embiid was there, if he gets there, that's what we can finally see.
Yeah, and there's only a handful of big men who play like those guys you just mentioned. Wilt, Kareem, Shaq. Shaq was just, I mean, you talk about unguardable, Matt.
Yeah.
Shaq couldn't shoot worth a darn, but I mean, once he got the ball in the paint, it was over. You might as well just stop guarding him, because you can't. And Jokic, and maybe, I mean, Rudy Gobert doesn't have much of an offensive game, let's face it, but he still plays in the paint. You mentioned
right.
Kristaps Porzingis. He's a shooter. He doesn't play in the paint. I mean, if he could do a hook shot, he'd probably be unguardable, because he just has the length. Maybe Wembanyama, because I don't know if they were throwing him alley-oops the other day, and like he didn't even have to leave his feet. Yeah. I mean, that dude is just he'll hit his head on the rim. He's so freaking tall. But Jokic is just one of those last, because he doesn't want to shoot a 3-pointer. No. He only really shoots them unless the shot clock's running out and he just happens to be standing there, or shooting threes is his last resort. He'll make a few. He'll make 1 to 2 a game, but he doesn't want to shoot those. So I think he's one of the kind of the last true big men to want to get his game in the paint. Right.
And Joel can play in the paint, but he's another one that wants to be on the perimeter. Yeah. He wants to be out there shooting.
He wants to be what the game is today, and that's just, jump shots.
Right. And even Sengun from the Rockets,
he had a monster game yesterday. Did you see that?
Oh my God, that dude's so good. If that team is going to keep getting better and better. And with Udoka there, oh my gosh, they're locked in.
By the way, did you see this crazy stat? And I me, I'm hesitant to talk about LeBron James, but I saw this crazy stat, man. He's played against 35% of all the players that have played in this league.
That's crazy.
And he's played against, I think, 7 current head coaches who used to play in the league or something like that.
Yeah, like
because he's played against Tyronn Lue, Ime Udoka, Chauncey Billups, the dude in what is his name? The dude in Brooklyn, Jacques Vaughn.
Oh, Jacques Vaughn. Yeah.
In I think it's Adrian Griffin. Is he the Atlantic or the? Where is he coaching? Maybe is it the Oklahoma City coach? One of them. It's Adrian Griffin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Zero research, all reaction. So
yeah,
I mean, he's played against like 7 current head coaches who used to play in the league. Steve Kerr, I think, maybe. I think Steve Kerr was maybe before his time. But
he even played against his coach, Darvin Ham. He played against
Darvin Ham. Yeah, that's one of them. And what is Adrian? Is it Adrian Griffin? He's a coach, right?
Yeah, that sounds. I'm trying to think because I know I just saw him. Like they were just talking about him.
Yeah, he's the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Adrian Griffin.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
Because
you forget who coaches like the Lakers. Well, we know who coaches. You forget who coaches the teams that have like high profile players.
Yeah,
like Milwaukee. Besides Mike Budenholzer, like who, like you couldn't name Adrian Griffin. Like we all know that Giannis coaches that team.
Yeah, right. And then I mean, just there's so many recycled coaches in the NBA. It's worse than football. It really is.
There is another. There is another guy that he's played against, and I'll look it up. Man, this guy's not doing anything over here. So
does he got his coffee and donuts today? Because I sent him some donuts because I thought that'd wake him up, but I guess not.
Passed out on the keyboard. So
golly, with donut frosting all over him. Yep. Sorry, that's going to be expensive to clean. Yeah, LeBron. And did you see? Like, have you noticed too? Since we're on LeBron's the LeBron subject, which you know what's funny is I find myself talking about the Lakers and LeBron a lot because I'm happy about what is going on in that franchise with everybody over there. After the recent loss to the Brooklyn, I was watching that game yesterday, and the Lakers came out hot. They were on I want to say like a 15-2 run to start the game. They were up, and then all of a sudden they just started to look like, and then they looked like it just fell apart. Anyway, after the game, they asked LeBron what is he going to do? How is he going to recoup this game or whatever? And he said, "I'm going to go home and watch football. That's it." So LeBron is done with this season. I feel like, I feel like he's done unless they trade somebody or do something. He's done. And I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know where he's going to go sign. I don't think he leaves LA, but I'm curious to see how they go forward with that whole LeBron situation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So here I found it. Willie Pelicans head coach. He played against LeBron in the day. Adrian Griffin, who I just mentioned, Jacques Vaughn, who we mentioned, Darvin Ham, who's his current head coach. I threw that in air quotes. Ime Udoka, who we brought up, Tyronn Lue, Chauncey Billups, and of course Jason Kidd is the other one I forgot.
Jason Kidd, that's right, in Dallas.
Yeah, who's Dallas's head coach. Yeah, so 8 coaches that he's played against who is now doing whatever. And then I saw some other stupid post. He just passed Klay Thompson for most 3-pointers in NBA history or something like that.
Well, it's because he's played forever.
I was going to say Klay Thompson has made that list in 10 years, 12 years.
Yeah.
And it took LeBron 21 years.
We'd all be celebrating LeBron's longevity.
Are they putting up a banner, by the way, for that?
I think so. I think they're going to put one right up next to the IST championship, which means nothing, by the way, to anybody. So I wonder how that's going to go next year. I really do.
Yeah, fake news. All right, that was the basketball conversation I wanted to get to. So yeah, they might. What I think we brought this up when they hung up the IST banner, Matt, fake championship. It's kind of sad that championship banner is bigger than the Nuggets' actual real NBA championship banner. So pretty sad. I think they made it bigger because they did it at their home opener versus the Lakers. I think that's why the Lakers were a little bit bitter about that.
They are super bitter. Oh, and by the way, of any bitterness, did you see Brucey B got traded?
Oh yeah. That was a big trade.
Big
Pascal
trade.
Siakam goes to Indiana. Indiana is going to be
interesting,
yeah,
to say the least.
I mean, they got better.
They did get
Siakam,
better.
They needed that length.
They did.
Indiana needed that length, and Siakam, I know he plays more of a 3, even more of a 4. And I get it. There's really no numbers anymore in the NBA, but he does play that, and he can shoot. I mean, I think there's only one dude left on Toronto who won the championship in 2019.
And does this open up a path of some way to get Brucey B back here?
I just saw what you re-X'd on the X.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that some dude was like, I don't want Brucey B, but Woj said that there could be a pathway for Brucey to. I told you, man. I told you he wouldn't make it on Indiana. Did I not say they're not going to keep him? And not only that, they had a team option for next year anyway.
And
if he was just patient, he would have made his money here.
Right, he would have.
Now I'm laughing in Bruce's face. I like Bruce, but I'm laughing in his face now. I told you.
Because he's going to just be sitting there waiting to see where he goes next, because he's not going to stay in Toronto.
Now he's in crappy Toronto. Toronto, obviously, we just mentioned, they only have one guy left from their championship team from 4 years ago. And now it's basketball purgatory until they get better again.
Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be with Brucey B. They're going to, so that's going to be interesting to watch if he ends up, because I remember too, even they were talking about him signing over there, and there were some issues with him not wanting to. There was issues with the if I can remember correctly, there were some issues with the Lakers and him signing over there, but in a trade scenario situation, and even if, because there's been talks about getting him back here, and I don't know who you would trade to do that. I don't know who, and we talked about this. Reggie Jackson's getting some pretty good minutes right now.
I was just going to say his minutes would pretty much almost be non-existent like they were last year.
And if you see that, if you bring him in, we saw how much how much love Denver still has for him and the Nuggets still have for him. But I mean, if you're trying to build team chemistry, like, I'm not saying just throw the same guy back in that you had here last year, but there's different things kind of happening now, I wonder if that would make it better or throw a little wrench into it. But I would imagine that if they did make a move for Bruce Brown, I don't know if Reggie Jackson would still be here.
Exactly. And they just, by the way, did you see that Brucey paid somebody $10,000 to keep number 11? I don't know who wore number 11 before, but Bruce already spent a lot of his paycheck just to wear a number.
Oh God. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he paid somebody. I don't know who it was, but he did spend about 10 G's on somebody's number. So there you go. All right, that basketball conversation in the books, and but I mean the NFL games that happened yesterday, Matt, were, well, one was, I thought Houston had a 3-point lead at halftime, or was it tied at halftime? I think it was 10-10 or something at halftime, and then Houston scored 3 points the entire rest of the way, and Lamar Jackson and Baltimore just went crazy in that fourth quarter. And I mean, is there anyone that can beat? I think Gronk said it on either the post game or whatever it was, saying it doesn't matter who wins between KC and Buffalo. Baltimore's going to the Super Bowl. And I mean, do you feel the same way about the 49ers? Your poor Packers, Matt. They had it. They had it in their grasp. And like we said when we were talking pre-show, Matt, that 49ers didn't win that game. Green Bay lost that game.
Oh, 100%. On the Ravens real quick. I don't know who's stopping Lamar Jackson. I don't know who's stopping him.
And by the way, they should get Mark Andrews back next week too.
Right. Because they were trying to get him in this week. I think they were trying to get him going or something. I was reading that too, and he gets back, and that's just another threat. In Houston, you got to give them credit. They deserve to be there. They did what they needed to do to be there. But they were in that defense in that first half. But you just can't stop Lamar. You can't stop what he does. You load up to stop him from running the football, then he dumps it over the top. You try to play a zone or something like that, then he picks you apart in the middle. You try to contain him, then he finds somewhere to run in the middle or something deep over the top, something crazy he's going to get you with. In the way that defense is playing football, my goodness, I'm right there with you. With Gronk, I don't know if KC has anything for him. I don't know if Buffalo has anything for him, and then you got to go into Baltimore. So yeah, I do think that, but the Packers and the Niners, man, like the Packers aren't supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to beat Dallas, right? They're not supposed to beat Dallas. And so to look at this game from this perspective is kind of crazy because you're playing with house money as a Packers fan. You're not supposed to be there. So whatever outcome of this game, who cares? But I don't feel that way. I feel like the Packers, they had opportunities to win the game. You had one missed field goal. And I don't count that one because they went for it on fourth, which I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going it on fourth down when you could have kicked the field goal and made it 6-0. At that point, 6-0 and 3-0 in the way the defense was playing and the way Purdy was looking, it did just you're like, again, you're playing with house money. Roll the dice, see if you can come up big there and get a touchdown. So I'm okay with that one. There was opportunities to where the Packers, they went 4 possessions. I think they threw an interception, a punt, and then another interception to end the game after San Francisco, after they went up 21 to I want to say it was 14. And then after that, they had 4 straight empty possessions. They had opportunities, bad possessions. Then you had the missed field goal. That Anders Carlson has been up and down all season, missing extra points, missing field goals. He's got a big.
Did you see what LaFleur said? And he said, every time he goes out there, I just pray.
Yeah, he prays. Exactly. But he's a rookie and we're going with it. I don't think he's going to be there next year because I'm fine with the rookie stuff going with it. He's got a big leg. He's got a leg that you would need to kick in cold weather like that. But you can't miss those freaking field goals to tie the game. The game would have been tied. And then Love, God, for God's sakes, as good as he's been, the dumbest throw, the dumbest mistake you can make, he makes it when you don't even need you throw the ball away. You still have time. And the Packers lost that game. They didn't get beat by the 49ers. And all going into this game all week, I was saying on Ball Sports that everything could go right for the Packers and the 49ers. The Packers went in there, they dominated that game, in my opinion. They were dominating that entire game. Brock Purdy, yeah, he made some plays down the stretch, sure, to do what he needed to do, but he didn't impress me. I don't know what if you were impressed by Brock Purdy, but he didn't impress me last night. I
mean, he was almost just like Carlson, the Green Bay, just up and down, Matt. I mean, look, when you have, I know Debo got hurt, didn't come back to the game. You had to rely on, Jennings and Ayuk. And Ayuk had a good year. And Kittle's always going to be reliable. But you also have the title of our episode, Matt, Run CMC. When you have him who can not only come out of the backfield, and including the game winner with over a minute left. I mean, you don't have to be a Hall of Fame quarterback when you have those type of guys around you. And I mean, 49ers, I don't know if underrated defense is the right term, Matt, but they have a pretty good defense.
It's really, it's very well coordinated, coordinated.
And they kind of fly under the radar, so to speak. So I don't know. Brock Purdy, it almost seems like if your name is Trey Lance, anyone can almost play in this system, Matt. Look at where Jimmy G is now. He's in quarterback purgatory. And it seems like they can plug almost anybody into that system and somehow make it to the NFC Championship game every year. I don't know. But, Purdy had a pretty good year. By the way, did you see this? Baltimore will host, going back to Baltimore real quick, they'll host the first AFC Championship game in Baltimore for the first time in 53 years. So
wow, that
crazy. Is I don't know if they were still the Baltimore Colts back
The
then.
Colts,
But,
they probably were. That's a long time ago.
yeah. So, but anyway, back to Purdy. I mean, again, you don't have to be perfect if you're the 49ers quarterback.
Right.
You just have to almost just not make a mistake, almost be a game manager.
And he didn't make the big mistake last night. I mean, but there was a lot of dropped interceptions. Savage dropped one that was a pick six. There was another one that would have almost put the game out of reach, because if you think if they make that pick there, then they kill some time, kill some clock, because they're running the ball great. Green Bay was that blocking scheme, that outside that pin and pull that they were running was really taking Bosa and Chase Young out of the game as far as the running game goes in particular. But I just felt like, and I do tip my hat to Purdy. He made some pretty good throws coming down. Purdy made some pretty good throws coming down the stretch in that last drive, where you could say that could have been a moment, that could have been his moment, that he steps in front and leads this team from the quarterback position, instead of relying on Christian McCaffrey or Kittle or Deebo Samuel, like you said, who was hurt. But Christian ran that was what was that touchdown run, like a 30-40 yard or something like that?
The game winner or the one before that?
The one before the game winner.
It was like 36 or 39 yards or something.
Big run. A nice pass to Kittle in the end zone for a touchdown. That was their first score, or their first touchdown, I should say. And then two big runs from Christian McCaffrey. And yeah, you need that. But because it was looking like the Packers were going to win this game, and then the whole narrative around the 49ers is going to be, yeah, any you can get a quarterback to win in this system, but you're going to need that kind of guy to get Kyle Shanahan over the hump. Like that was going to become the narrative. Now it stays by and stands pat for another week, because Purdy gets another opportunity to go out there and lead the team and prove that he is one of those guys. But outside of that last drive, and then there was a couple throws he made in the game, in my opinion, I don't think that you can really come away from that game and say Purdy came up and said, showed out and said, I am one of these guys. He didn't do that in that game yesterday. Like I said, I tip my hat for that last drive. He made some throws and they got him in the position, but the Packers lost that football game, and they had so many chances. They failed on the chances. And I just, it's hard for me to say that coming from the position of that you're playing with house money. You weren't supposed to be there, all that mumbo jumbo, but they lost that game, man. They lost that freaking game.
Yeah, so the 49ers move on to the NFC title game. They're fourth in 5 years. Crazy to think about that. And then they will wait a winner of the Detroit and Tampa Bay game that goes on later today. The other game, obviously, Baltimore moves on to the AFC Championship game. The whole game they were talking about Lamar Jackson, hearing the talk about 1-3 in the playoffs, this and that. He's the front runner to win the MVP this year, although we just talked about him, Christian McCaffrey making a case to be the first running back in I don't know how long, since Adrian Peterson, I think, was it?
Right, Adrian Peterson.
In 2008.
Yep.
To win MVP. So it's been 16 years since a non-quarterback has won the NFL MVP. So CMC making a case for that. So then the Baltimore Ravens will obviously await the winner of Buffalo and Kansas City today. That one, I mean, I don't know how many times it's been Mahomes versus Josh Allen now, and the Chiefs versus the Buffs. This time it's actually in Buffalo. At the first time, this is crazy stat too. The first time Patrick Mahomes has played a road playoff game besides neutral field in a Super Bowl. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's something that I was freaking out about too. Great storyline as well. Great storyline for this game, because can you throw Pat Mahomes into a great playoff performer, postseason performer discussion if he hasn't even won a playoff road game yet? Like, can you do that? Like, that's. I mean, I feel.
Sorry, in his defense, I mean, I guess they've.
I know. There's that. Yeah. I understand that aspect of it, but it's like, does that go to him being his greatness more?
It's a team greatness.
It's a team greatness, right? Too. So it's like, because you can't blame it for him, but you can't give him all the credit as well. So yeah, I think this is a new wrinkle, a new storyline that we can look at if he does lose this game, then you can start looking at Pat Mahomes and saying, can he win on the road? Even though he's won all these games in the playoffs and the Super Bowl already, but can he win on the road? So I'm curious to see how that works out. I got money on the Chiefs. I got, because I just feel like that I took the money line. I took them straight up on the money line. So I'm hoping that they go in and win that game. But I don't know, man. Josh Allen's pretty freaking good. He's pretty good.
See, and I think I've been saying for the last year or two that this might be it for Buffalo. If they at least don't advance to the Super Bowl, then this window's done. Like, this window is shutting pretty close.
Do they blow it up all together, or do they just new coach
because
and keep Josh?
This would be the fourth or fifth year not only playing against the Chiefs in later rounds in the playoffs, but not advancing to the Super Bowl. I mean, I hate to say Buffalo's used to this, losing four Super Bowls back in the day, back to back.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would think they would have broken through one of these years. And they've always had to go through Kansas City. They had to go through Cincinnati that one year. It's just been, I don't know. I don't know if they'll blow it up, Matt, but I don't know if McDermott will be there. I mean, they just can't get over the hump. And again, like we just said with Kansas City, it's a team thing, obviously. And that's the nature of the quarterback position, Matt. You're going to get all the fame, but you're going to get all the blame, even though, the defense can't stop anybody. Josh Allen's still going to be blamed for the team losing. That's just the nature of the beast, I guess. But
right.
I don't want to say blow it up, Matt, but it could be very, very different if the Bills at least don't make it to the Super Bowl. If they at least make it, Matt, you could see another run at this thing. But if they don't make it, Matt, then we've seen teams get rid of coaches and blow things up for less. So we've seen more done with less. I don't know how to phrase it, but
right.
You can see a very different team. You can see a very different Buffalo team next year if they don't at least advance to the Super Bowl.
That's what I think it is right there. You're going to see different Buffalo team next year if they don't do it this year. They don't at least get to the Super Bowl, because what else? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And that's what essentially Buffalo would be doing if they ran it back. I don't think Diggs is going to be with this team anymore. There's going to be, they fired Ken Dorsey earlier in the season, so you might see some. I don't know who replaced him. I can't remember, but whoever replaced him is kind of freed up Josh Allen a little bit more, and you're seeing what he's doing. But are they relying too much on Josh Allen? So I think there could be some movement with that. They might add a running back, even though they've had pretty good, because Buffalo, it's like your main running back, your primary running back is your quarterback in a lot of cases, but they've gotten production out of that running back position this season. So I just don't know if where else you can, what else you can do with the group that you have. So looking outside that group, getting somebody new, whether it's on the coaching staff, coordinator, something like that, it would be hard to see a head coaching change, because who are you going to get to come in here and because you're not blowing it up, but you're wanting to keep going with where you're at. You're just wanting to put a new engine, put a new transmission, do something different with it to get it going. So yeah. But I like you said it. I like the way you put it. There's going to be some change in Buffalo next season, no matter what. Even if they do get through, I think there's going to be some change.
Yeah, and like you said, who are they going to get to replace McDermott? I mean, we'll transition to this here in a minute, Matt. But I mean, there's a lot of good coaches who don't have jobs right now. So we'll get into that here in a second. Really quickly, this Detroit Tampa Bay game, Matt. How about this? There's only 3 players in NFL history, Matt, to win a playoff game with multiple teams, Matt. Joe Montana did it with 49ers and the Chiefs, Peyton Manning with the Colts and the Broncos, and now Baker Mayfield does it with the Cleveland Browns and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know he played a little bit down the stretch with the Rams last year, Matt, but I guess that doesn't count. I don't know. But how about this? He's been on 4 teams in 4 seasons. That's crazy to think about, too. He's found a home with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had a pretty good game last week, Matt. I guess he's dealing with bruised ribs and all this crap. I mean, I don't think anybody's 100% healthy this time of the NFL season, so not using that as an excuse. But this Detroit team, Matt, is fun to root for. I mean, this is what everyone's been hoping. I mean, Dan Campbell has done an outstanding job with this team. Jared Goff has had an unbelievable year getting his confidence, Matt. I did not like the Detroit fans for booing Matt Stafford last week, Matt. That was kind of soft. Stafford did a lot for that city on and off the field, and they almost continue. I mean, there's a high school name, or I don't know if it's a high school or elementary school named after him. They have football fields in Detroit called Stafford Field. I mean, he did so much for that community, Matt, for 12 years. And he comes back, not his fault, by the way, comes back on a different team and he gets booed. And that was just kind of soft in my opinion. But great to see Detroit in this position, Matt. My heart is it's rooting for Detroit to somehow win the Super Bowl. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them no matter what AFC opponent they would come up across. Yeah. But they first now have to get past not only Tampa, but then the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going the other way, and there's a little bit of bias mixed in with this, but I'm sick of Detroit, dude. I'm ready to see this all come crashing down.
That's the Packers fan in you, though.
Yes,
I'm a Bears fan, and I want to see Detroit win.
I know, I get it. I know, but
if anything, I'm sick of Tampa Bay.
You could look at it that way too, because I look at this game, and Detroit's dirty. That's a dirty football team. I know that all the hype and the feel good feels that Dan Campbell, DMC, whatever the heck you call him, brings to the table. I get it. Feel good story. Happy for Detroit fans who boo kids and wives and however you want to look at that situation. You know, I'm ready for Tampa Bay to ruin everything the Detroit Lions fans and all the, they're coming out of the woodwork. They're coming out of the wood. I've been a Detroit Lions fan since I just never rooted for them because they suck so long. Okay.
Hey, I'm sitting here with a Rockies hat on. Come on.
Exactly. Like what are you doing? I'm ready for it to come crashing down at the hands of Baker, the baby maker Mayfield. He was cleaning toilets in freaking Cleveland just a couple years ago, and he's going to come and ruin the Detroit Lions day. I can't wait to see these dudes crying, throwing a fit, throwing their jerseys away. You think Jared Goff's going to get you to freaking the Super Bowl? Give me a break. I'm ready for it. I got money on it. I'm ready for it, Mike. I'm ready for it to be done today. If it's not done today, it's going to be done next week.
It's a tough road either way.
Right. So I'm ready for it, Mike. You know, I'm just ready for it.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously the winner of this game will face the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara, by the way. So either way, whoever makes it out of this game, Matt, is going to be a tough road ahead. I mean, if you had to pick, I mean, this might be an easy question, but if you had to pick any remaining NFC team to make it to the Super Bowl, I mean, is it the 49ers, or do you want to see Baker and the Bucks go to the Super Bowl? Because
the 49ers.
The 49ers are the clear favorite in the NFC, no matter who makes it out of this game. But
yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to be another Baltimore, San Francisco Super Bowl. It's not going to be the Har Bowl this time, but
which is kind of
yeah. And I kind of want to see Kyle, John Lynch, McCaffrey win a championship.
That's
all
where my
Colorado ties.
Yep. That's where my head has moved. That's where my fandom has moved for sure. Solely into the San Francisco. I went from hating San Francisco yesterday. Went from and the one thing too, you know, from a Packers fan perspective,
really quick question. Are you the type that cheers for the team that beat your team, or are you just going with Colorado ties, or is that just a coincidence?
Colorado ties in this scenario. Colorado ties more than the team that beat my team. But like I was gonna say, I was yesterday was kind of an anointing because the 49ers anointed another Green Bay quarterback by stealing victory from the jaws of defeat from another Denver or another Green Bay Packer quarterback, like Aaron Rodgers has done in multiple times in the past that I can remember. Has done, the 49ers have done the same thing to multiple Green Bay Packers quarterbacks. So from that perspective, like, I have to tip my hat to the 49ers. I have to latch on to them and root for them going forward. Not only do the Colorado ties factor in big time, but from that perspective too as well. Yeah. And I don't want to see Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. And I don't want, and we went over the Lions already. So,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind San Francisco, obviously, for the and if you're wondering, I don't really depends on who beats the team I cheer for, Matt.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
If it was the Raiders versus the Broncos in the AFC Championship and the Raiders won that game, and I would be like, F the Raiders. I'm cheering for whoever makes it out of the NFC. I don't even care who it is.
And just like if the Lakers beat the Nuggets last year in the Western Conference Finals, I'm not rooting for the Lakers.
I'm a Heat fan at that point.
I'm a Heat fan now. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
that's where I'm at too. Yep.
So anyway, really quickly here before we get to the possible Baseball Hall of Fame candidates, we touched on this last week, Matt. This coaching cycle. Bill Belichick, I think, has had honestly like 2 or 3 interviews with the Atlanta Falcons. Interesting. And then obviously John Harbaugh's brother Jim has interviewed with multiple teams. The Chargers. I think he interviewed with the Falcons. So there's going to be and Antonio Pierce, by the way, staying with the aforementioned Raiders. So he's going. So you will not see Devontae Adams or Max Crosby get traded now.
That's good for that. Yeah.
Now their big question is a quarterback. Who are they going to retain? Is Jimmy Galapagos Island still going to be there? Is I forgot the dude with the porn stash still going to be there? There's just a lot of questions at quarterback they have to kind of sort out, but that'll come. Whether it's via the draft or free agency or whatever.
They got a high. I think they got a high draft pick, don't they?
It might.
No, they don't, because they beat the Broncos and they got one less than the Broncos.
It's going to be middle of the road for them, but unless they make somehow a trade with Chicago or somebody, I don't know who they. I mean, you might see Justin Fields on the Raiders. I don't know.
You might see. And Gerard Mayo too is New England's new head coach.
Yeah, that one's. I don't want to say surprised me because I read after the fact that they were kind of grooming him, and there was something in his contract too that said he was going to be the next head coach, which is kind of weird and kind of sucks for people that have been there longer than him. But they were kind of grooming him, so to speak.
Right.
So, and I mean, could you see McDaniels back as the offensive coordinator?
I don't know if
I think they're done with him.
I have a feeling with him too.
I have a feeling like.
He might end up wherever Bill goes.
Yeah, I have a feeling that like the Patriots were like screening their phone. You know how when you get a call, and you can just like ignore it. Like Robert Kraft was like just sitting in their office talking to Jared Mayo, and they see Josh McDaniels' phone number come up, and they just push ignore or something like that.
Ignore. Yeah.
Calls.
I think Belichick and I think Arthur Blank even said that the job's his if he wants it with Bill in reference to Bill Belichick.
I think any team that has a coaching vacancy was like, we're not even going to interview Bill, dude. If you want the job, it's yours.
And I was seeing some things too that like it was like, is this really an interview with Bill or is Bill interviewing you? Like, are you going into this interview and then Bill's like interviewing your team to see if he's going to coach your team?
Reminds me of that Office. Everything always leads back to the Office where
Robert
Andy
California
well, not only that, but Andy was because Dwight, remember he came in wearing all the Cornell stuff.
Yeah, take that.
He said he was going to apply, and Andy said, "Well, I'm going to interview you." And then it turned into Dwight's like, on the contrary, I'm evaluating their interviewees.
So. Oh, tremendous stuff. Yeah, I think And then I mean, we got Mike Vrabel out there still.
And I heard he might be a favorite for the Seattle job.
Oh yeah, yep. Seattle, Washington's available too.
Yeah.
I've seen some Harbaugh to Washington. I've seen some smoke to that.
Yeah, and I guess if you're Belichick at this point, after being in New England for so dang long, I think you would want to go to some place where it's warm.
In the dome?
In a dome, something like that. So, like, well, the Raiders aren't available now, but, I was going to say San Diego, L.A. or Atlanta. Now Dallas is hanging on. Were you surprised Dallas is hanging on to your boy, McCarthy?
It's –
obviously, this will be the last year because this is it. Next year is the last year of his contract anyway.
Because I think, Jerry, there's nothing. All they can do is run it back. And I was even reading that they're going to extend Dak. Like they're thinking that all they can do is keep running it back because they have the pieces in place. That's what they keep thinking. Dan Quinn's got to be gone though. I would imagine.
Dak had such a fabulous regular. I mean, it seems like he always has a really good regular season. I mean, he had only like 4 interceptions or something crazy.
And then he goes.
Yeah. I don't know what happens to them in the playoffs. It's just so weird to see.
It's wild, and but it happens with it's that's not a McCarthy problem, because you could point at it and say all those games that McCarthy lost in the playoffs to the Seahawks and the 49ers, just basically those two teams with Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know if you can put, like, McCarthy's not a master motivator though. Like, he can't motivate we've seen the Hard Knocks and he's not one of those motivating guys, but I wasn't shocked to see him come back. I was trying to think of who else could they go with there at unless it's Dan Quinn, but obviously they're not going to do that because I don't know. That was weird in Dallas. They got a lot of bigger, like, next year is going to be, nobody's going to say that Dallas is going to the Super Bowl during the season next year. I think it's going to be a game by game basis on how they evaluate the Dallas Cowboys next season. I really do it because they're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to see the drop off from regular season to playoffs every single year.
No,
it's crazy to see. So yeah. I mean, can you see Belichick in Atlanta?
Yeah, I could actually. He said he wants a place like that, a young team that's on the cusp. They have pieces there. They got a great running back. Their defense isn't bad. All you got to do is figure out the head coach, or not the head coach, but the quarterback position. They got a good tight end, which Belichick loves tight ends. The receivers, like, there's some things there. And they got an ownership group that's going to give Belichick whatever the hell he wants. So yeah, I think I don't know, because I don't know where he wants to live. I think that would fit into it more than anything, is where the dude wants to live.
Doesn't he live in California?
I thought he did.
Miami.
I thought he lived in California. I don't know. He did Del Boca Vista. Maybe he lives down there. I don't know.
65 plus home or community. I would
assisted living. The assisted living.
No, maybe not assisted living, but at least like strictly 65 and above, where you could just walk to the pool free balling it. I feel.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah. Just in a robe, and the shuffleboard's not too busy. I don't know. It's somewhere, but I don't think he's going to go to. I don't think he's going to go to L.A. I don't think he's going to go to the Chargers.
What about Tennessee?
No.
I just mentioned that because I looked it up, and he was actually born in Nashville.
Well, see, because I think you're onto something, Mike, when you said that he's old and he's got a choice to go somewhere warm and be somewhere where the elements aren't going to infect him. Coming from New England, and being his age, he might be thinking like that. Like, I don't want to go somewhere. And then how's the media market in Atlanta? Because that could play a factor too. You're going to Los Angeles, the media market there's going to be a nightmare. I'm not saying that's a big factor, but it could play something into it. When he's got basically the pick of any job that he wants, I think he can look at little minuscule details of what would make his life better if he does pros and cons. And I think Atlanta would be the best place.
It says he has a house, obviously, in Massachusetts, but that's only because he coached there for 25 years. So,
right.
I mean, Nashville is pretty, during the winter, it's pretty fair. I feel like, I don't know. I could see him in like a dome type scenario.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna pencil him in there in Atlanta. I am.
Did you see Atlanta's social media was just going crazy at the fact that they interviewed him?
And do you think, Mike? Do you think if Denver was in a coaching cycle this year, if this was last year, and Denver was in a coaching cycle here, do you think Belichick would have got him in here?
I think they would have. I think he probably would have accepted an interview. I don't know. I don't know if he would necessarily take the job, just because, again, 8 times, 9 times a year now, you're in the bitter cold.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's going to play a factor.
I think he's honestly sick of it. He wants to be Vic Fangio, chilling in Miami.
Right. I think you're right. I think you're right. And the majority of the NFC South, you look at the NFC South, the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers won that division this year. You're telling me he can't have that Atlanta Falcons team at least to where they need to be to win that division when you have New Orleans that's kind of floundering in this with their situation. You got Tampa, which who knows what they're going to do next year. And then I mean it's Carolina. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How far away is Carolina? So you look at that division, could you have another AFC East where you're the best team in that division? That could play a part in it too.
Text here from Greeley Gary, by the way, Matt. If Bill Belichick, first of all, he prefaced it by saying Belichick to the Titans is interesting. Do you think that if he were to choose Tennessee, that he could convince Derrick Henry to stay?
Oh, that'd be something too.
Because they're going to go with Will Levis as their
I think so.
Tannehill's done.
Yeah, I don't think Tannehill's going to be there.
If anything, a backup capacity, but he's not going to like that.
But I think Derrick Henry's already kind of said his goodbyes. I feel
that's what I mean. Can Belichick convince him to stay?
I don't know. It's like that'd be interesting because you would see from Belichick's perspective, you'd want that kind of running game. But how much does Derrick Henry have left in the tank?
I don't know. I feel like he took the foot off the gas halfway through the season because he knew they weren't going to go really anywhere. I mean, look how far off the running back totem pole Dalvin Cook. I didn't even know he was in Baltimore. I had no idea he signed with Baltimore.
He got like 1 snap or 2 snaps yesterday or something.
He had like a 21 yard.
Oh, he did,
run.
Huh? Yeah.
But when they said his name, I was like, what? And then they said they got rid of Melvin Gordon to make room for Dalvin Cook. That was funny.
And that was because that was wild. Poor Melvin Gordon. Yeah, that would be interesting because like you would almost look at it from his perspective, like from Belichick's perspective, like I got to keep this guy here.
But we've seen these running backs say, I mean, look at how good Dalvin Cook was with the Vikings. He wanted out, landed with the stupid Jets, and now his career is.
Yeah, he thought that was going to work out.
He's almost hanging on like LaShawn McCoy somehow got a championship with the Buccaneers. We've seen. Or the Chiefs, one of the two, he won
the Chiefs. The Chiefs.
But then he ended up with Tampa Bay somehow and won a championship. I mean, didn't he win back-to-back championship with the Chiefs and the Bucs? I think it was something crazy like that. These running backs who do so good with the teams that drafted them, and then like again, Dalvin Cook, he wants out, goes to the Jets, and now nobody even knows he's on the Ravens.
I think what's going to happen. I think Derrick Henry wants out and he wants to go to whatever he's got left. I agree. I think he's got more than what led on because there was even some cases where
he stayed relatively healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you look at is like he's a big running back, but he delivers more punishment than he takes.
Oh yeah, dude, that meme's still flying around where he stiff armed that dude and he goes flying across the country.
I think he wants out and he wants to go to a situation where they're a true contender. I don't think Tennessee is a true contender, even if you have Bill Belichick next season. So I don't think he gets him to stay. No, I don't think he would.
Interesting conversation there. So we will see where these dudes end up when it comes to this coaching cycle. And a lot of interesting teams have openings.
And real quick, sorry to interrupt you. But Cliff Kingsbury, did you see where he might end up?
I saw that. Didn't he interview for an OC job though?
In Chicago.
Yeah.
And
I don't know why they're hanging on to Eberflus. Who
was just because he was just in USC. They bring him in. That means Justin Fields. Like everything's everything's working. There's back channels because the way I understand it, I think Chicago can talk to Caleb Williams because in a sense, if they have the number one, I don't know how it works, but anyway, I'm sure there's some back channel stuff going on. Hey, we get your guy in here to be our OC, then you'll come. Because remember a couple weeks ago, Caleb was like, he wants assurance that they're going to trade the pick so he can get out of it. Now he declares for the draft. Then we see Cliff Kingsbury interviewing for the OC job. So lines are starting to connect potentially that they're going to take that guy. And then now Justin Fields is going to be a hot commodity.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Almost like a John Elway, Eli Manning type situation with the way they're with the way these dudes not only, I don't want to say Elway and Manning cried their way out of a situation, but how do these guys control this? Like, I don't know.
It's wild, but it's working. Chicago's going to do everything that if that's what they're doing, Chicago's going to do what they can to make sure it's comfortable for him to say, hey, you come here and play for us. And that's kind of what a lot of people, nowadays are getting upset with the way that people are conforming to what the players want. Teams are trying to do what the players want, what the players need. And this is one of those situations where they got that number one draft pick and they want this guy. But yeah, like you said, Eberflusen's still there. They fired Luke Getsy. I didn't have any problem with what I thought he was getting out of what Justin Fields getting out of him, what he could, squeezing that lemon for every ounce that he could get.
Well, and did you see what DJ Moore said? He said he wants to see Fields back.
Yeah, I did see that.
And DJ Moore struggled when he first got there. And then they kind of switched up the offense and DJ Moore ended up with like 12 touchdown catches.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see that whole situation, but it looks like that Chicago's going to try to do everything they can to.
What's a more possible scenario? Chicago drafts Caleb Williams, or a team trades up for that pick to draft maybe not Caleb Williams, but another one of these quarterbacks.
I think it would. If they did it, it would definitely. Yeah, I think Chicago's going to take him. I think they stay. I think that's what's going to happen. That's more
I almost want to take the field. I almost want to take not, maybe pun intended, but I almost want to take, did the Bears draft Caleb Williams or, the field pretty much.
Because the Bears are in a situation where they're sitting pretty because even if they do draft, they sit there, they take that, they use that pick on Caleb Williams, let's say it is.
And then they can package Justin Fields with their other.
Exactly,
second pick.
And they can get back into the top 5, top 10 to go grab a Marvin Harrison or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could see,
they're sitting pretty, man. I would love to be in Bears. What do they call Bears Nation? Bears, what do they call it? Bears Den, the Bears Den,
something like that.
The Cubs Den, the Bears Den. But you know what I'm saying? Like being in the position of Chicago right now is extremely, extremely lucky. And I would love to see, I can't wait to see what they do with all that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know what they do, but it's going to be, they're, like you said, they're sitting in a good situation to where not only can they keep Justin Fields and possibly trade the top 2 picks, but then they can also draft one of these top quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, hypothetically, and then trade the second pick for, I mean, there's so many avenues that they can go down. So
it's wild. It's wild.
Before we get it out of here, Matt, the 2024 Baseball Hall of Fame will be announced on Tuesday. Jim Leland, who we know so well in Colorado, pitched many years in Major League Baseball, notably probably for the Florida Marlins back in the day. He's already in on that was it called Legacy or something like that?
Yeah.
So The returning candidates, Matt, are obviously Todd Helton, which is why I'm wearing a Rockies hat. Billy Wagner entering his 9th year. Andrew Jones, his 7th year. Gary Sheffield, his 10th year. Carlos Beltran, his 2nd year. A-Rod, his 3rd year. Manny Ramirez, his 8th year. Omar Vizquel, his 7th year. Andy Pettit, his 6th year. Bobby Abreu, his 5th year. Jimmy Rollins, 3rd year. Mark Burley, 4th year. Francisco Rodriguez, 2nd year. Torrey Hunter, 4th year. Those are the kind of vets on this list, Matt. The rookies, so to speak, coming in on the ballot for the first time: Jose Bautista, Adrian Beltre, Bartolo Colon, Adrian Gonzalez, Matt Holliday, Victor Martinez, Joe Mauer, Brandon Phillips, Jose Reyes, James Shields, Chase Utley, and David Wright. A lot of good names coming in. A lot of new good candidates on this list, Matt. But I'm obviously pulling for your boy.
Yep.
He was so close last year, Matt. So close to making it last year. He needed just a couple more percentages, and he would have been in. I forgot who got in last year. It was just one dude. Oh, Scott Rowland.
Third baseman.
Scott Rowland had what do you have? 70 some. I mean, you have to have 75% of the vote, and this is why it's almost a double-edged sword for the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's such a prestigious way to get into the Hall of Fame, but I like how prestigious it is. I like how I don't know. I'm torn on it because some years nobody can get in because everyone only has 60% of the vote and nobody gets in. But that's why they kind of opened up that legacy vote where if nobody gets voted in, at least they have some old timers to talk about. But I mean, is there anyone on this new candidate list who could bump one of these vets off?
I don't know. I mean, so you said Manny Ramirez? What do you have? 4 years or 2 years?
This will be his 8th year.
His 8th year. That name caught me. Does he get thrown in with the steroid stuff?
That's what I was just. He was. I mean, a lot of these dudes played in that era. I mean, you gotta if you're a baseball writer at this point, you gotta let go of that just because it was the times. Everyone was doing it.
If you look at the era and the time they played, yeah, you would have to.
I mean, the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, everyone was doing it, Matt. I mean, Todd Helton's career started kind of at the tail end of it, and he was basically the same size his whole career. He didn't really have a crazy transformation like Barry.
No, his was all deer meat. His was all venison.
His was all hot dogs and beer. True man's.
His was all venison and duck. Yeah.
I mean, look at Gary Sheffield. 10th
Yeah, I was just gonna say he was another one. He was one
A-Rod.
of my favorite.
I mean,
yeah.
This is only A-Rod's 3rd year, so there's still a chance. But I mean, look at him. He was on that list. He tested positive. He got suspended for it. And he's apologized, and now he's almost like baseball sweetheart for Fox. I mean,
he should be. Yeah, I mean,
he dated J-Lo. That should get him in automatically, in my opinion. But he lost her to Ben Affleck somehow. But I mean, this is just. If there was one guy, I guess, who I would have to choose, Matt, it would almost be a guy like Chase Utley, just because he has the numbers, Matt. He has Gold Gloves, and he also has the rings to back it up with Philadelphia.
And he's very memorable too. Like everything that he's done. I don't know if it's just because of its recent memory.
But if he gets in over Jimmy Rollins, who this will be his 3rd year, that'll be kind of messed up because Jimmy Rollins was on those Philadelphia teams with Chase Utley. Oh, so did I. But he also not only does he have a championship to back it up, Jimmy Rollins somehow won that 2007 MVP over Matt Holliday, who is new on the list.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Rollins has obviously the numbers, the Gold Gloves, the rings, and he has an MVP over Chase Rollins. So I don't even see Chase Utley now. I'm trying to see who cancels each other out, Matt. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I felt like Chase Utley had more of an impact than Rollins, but I mean, when you just said that, it's like, wow, he did all that. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough because there's
You would almost have to get one of these veterans on this list in first. I mean,
yeah, I agree. I get the vets. I've always been get the vets in first. Get those guys in first.
I mean, Matt Holliday, He's kind of up there. He's got.
Did he have that? Can you say what he did here and then what he went to do in St. Louis? Is that enough?
I mean, let me look up his career.
Does he get any credit for the slide into home plate?
He's just over 2,000 hits. He's at 1,200 RBIs. Career average 299, which is pretty decent.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Colorado effect might hurt him a little bit, but he did a lot of things outside of Colorado.
Yeah, I'd say yeah, but that's so tough.
He's at just over 300 home runs, Matt Holliday, and isn't 300 kind of the what do you call it? The line that
the benchmark kind of where
the bench
you have to go up from there. Yeah, this is where you have to start. This is where it has to be at least.
Yeah, so he has 316 home runs, 1,200 RBIs, and again his career batting average 299. Obviously, his best year was that 2007 season, Matt. He had 36 home runs, 137 RBIs. He hit 340, by the way, that year. And the Rockies went to the World Series. He won the National League MVP. So I don't know. There's so many guys on this list. But I'm cheering for Todd, Matt. Obviously, he was so close last year. I hope he gets in this year. Somehow the Rockies will have 2 Hall of Famers. Larry Walker, who got in 3 years ago, I think, to the day, because it was on my Facebook memories.
Yeah.
Wearing his little SpongeBob shirt. So that's where I say I hope Todd Helton Matt gets in.
I'm rooting for him. Yep.
But the rookies on this list, there's a lot of good first year candidates on this list. Like we just mentioned, Chase Utley, Joe Mauer had a fabulous career as a catcher. Didn't really do much with Minnesota. They made the playoffs a bunch, but never broke through. I don't know how far they got. David Wright has a lot of stats to back his name up, but again, nothing to go with it with the Mets. Jose Reyes,
nothing. There's nothing there. Because how long was he there with
the other one? I could see possibly maybe a dark horse, Adrian Gonzalez, but even then, Manny Ramirez should be in over Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, there's so many.
Manny Ramirez is over him. Yeah, all those guys. Yeah, no, Gary Sheffield's over those guys. I remember watching Gary Sheffield play for the Bears. Did you know that he played for the Denver Bears?
I mean, Andrew Jones, who won 15 consecutive Gold Gloves in center field.
Number 25, one of my favorite players.
His son's coming up. His
son's a monster.
I mean, him. Look out for Matt Holliday's son as well. So
yes.
Can you imagine Matt Holliday's son and Andrew Jones' son on Toronto somehow? So you'll have Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette,
I was gonna say
Calvin Biggio. They just name it the Toronto Sons or something like that.
The legacy. They're the legacy. The bloodline or something.
Crazy. But yeah, I don't really see anybody on this rookie list that could beat out. But I guess, Matt, if you had to pick one, there you go. I know it's a fully loaded hard question.
I make Chase Utley maybe. I mean, if I had to pick one.
For as long as Bartolo Colon, and he's still pitching professionally in Venezuela somewhere. Yeah. He was fun to watch though. He was always entertaining. And especially his starting days with Cleveland. Those are always fun days. James Shields, no. Brandon Phillips. He had a few good years with Philly, but Chase Utley was a better Philly second baseman than Brandon Phillips was. Brandon Phillips, he went to Cincinnati and had a few good years with the Reds, but
I was just gonna say that.
He started with the Reds. Brandon Phillips was with the Reds. Sorry,
was with the Reds. Yeah.
I don't know. Joe Mauer again. Matt Holliday obviously has the stats to back it up. Jose Bautista.
No,
what has he done?
No,
besides that bat flip that pissed everyone
That's
off.
all. That's all he did. That's all he did. No. I don't remember him for nothing else. See, I remember Chase Utley ripping
he fought that dude.
Well, that was kind of cool. But like that's what I vividly remember Chase Utley ripping hearts out of teams, ripping hearts out of chess fans with some of the stuff that he did on the
He had a
baseball
lot of
field.
clutch hits. Jose Batista's career stats, by the way, 1,400 hits, 344 home runs, and only a 247 batting average. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I would go with it.
I guess I would have to go with either Utley, Matt Holliday, or Joe Mauer. And I know we only want to pick one, but it's crazy. I'm trying to find this crazy, and we always say this. We always bring up Tony Gwynn, crazy stats, but he could strike out. I think he could strike out. I forgot the number. I'm not even going to try to say it. But yeah, he could strike out for like an entire season and still have a 300 batting average or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, craziness for Tony Gwynn, but Mr. Padre. All right, before we get out of here, Matt, did you happen to see or catch the UFC 297 last night?
I did not. I was watching the Packers, and then I was watching basketball, and I didn't even look to see order. I know Strickland lost to Dupuis. I said his name earlier, but
Dupuis.
There's the Dupuis. That's like there's a certain way to say it, but yeah, it's close enough.
Fun sway to it.
It's close enough. But no, I did not watch the fights last night. Those are getting freaking expensive to order. Yeah, and I'll watch it today on ESPN Plus because they have the replay. But watching that thing live, my gosh, they're expensive. But no, I did not catch it. Other than knowing that Strickland lost, I did not catch it. No.
Yeah, me neither. But head over to e5280sports.com. One of our new writers, Eric, who does a lot of the MMA articles now. Make sure you go there and
great articles.
Check out his stuff on our website. That's e5280sports.com. By the way, Matt, did you see a familiar face is now behind the bench in the NHL? The New York Islanders fired their head coach, which is weird, Matt. It was because I was like, well, the Islanders, whatever. They haven't really been relevant. They've been in and out of the playoffs, I feel like. But I went to go look at their record, Matt. I mean, they're above water. Like, they're above 500, 19, 15, and 11, 49 points. They're only 8 points, 9 points behind the New York Rangers, who lead the Metropolitan Division. And I'm just like, well, that's weird that they got rid of them. I mean, the Islanders are sitting, I guess 11th in the Eastern Conference out of 16 teams. But again, they're only 9 points out of that division lead. And I was like, I think his last name is Lambert. And then they bring in Patrick Waugh, Matt.
Do you think we'll ever
first time coaching, by the way, since 2016 when he mysteriously left the Colorado Avalanche?
Do you think we'll ever hear what the heck happened? Like, why did he leave?
It's almost like last year's playoff when Valery Nichushkin the choo-choo train just left the station without anybody knowing. And by the way, he just took himself out of the lineup again, and he entered the league's program assistance, which I'm assuming is alcohol related. But
are we like? Are the Avalanche ran by the KBG? Like, are they in the mafia?
We want to ask some questions here.
What's going on over
I don't
there?
know.
The Avs.
I'm glad he's getting the help he needs, I guess.
Me too. I mean, I like I say on Ball Sports, I don't talk hockey because it's a puck and we talk about balls. But anyway,
what about a rubber biscuit? You don't talk about biscuits?
We don't talk about biscuits either. No, but I saw that Patrick Waugh stuff, and then I saw all the Avalanche stuff. And then what is going on over there? Is Bednar going to get fired, or is this team going to get blown up?
Because they're still.
Are they in? Are they? Because I've seen that they've had some pretty like staunchy losses here.
They're third in the West right now, so they're.
See, that's what I thought, that they're still in a championship contenders window, but they could be a lot better, right?
Well, I mean, they're 30-14-3. That's pretty
good.
About halfway through the season, they have 63 points, Matt. They're only 3 points out of first in the West. Vancouver just took over that spot, 66 points. Winnipeg, I mean, who goes there by choice? But they're in second place with 64 points. So, they're 4 points ahead of Dallas.
This is funny. This is a good example of how media is kind of crappy around here with some of our sports coverage, because the people who I follow that talk about hockey, and like, again, I don't watch the games. I try to keep an eye on the wins and losses. But the people that I follow that talk about the Avalanche, I am under the impression that they suck, that they're awful, that they're having a horrible season, and then you tell me that they're pretty good. Like, this is what I was thinking.
The loss of Nichushkin's might hurt them a little because he was having a pretty decent year.
He's doing pretty good, huh?
But now, I mean, Nathan McKinnon leads the NHL in points now.
And he's like the best player in the league, right?
Yeah, I mean, his point streak is, I mean, he's had a point, I think, in like 29 straight games. And they're calling it to race. They always, just to hype up hockey, I guess. They always do the race to first to 100 points. And now McKinnon took the lead. He's at 75 points already, man. We're not even at the All-Star break. Some guys don't even have 75 points in a season. But he just took over the top spot from Nikita Kucherov from Tampa Bay, who's at 72 points. But McKinnon's I mean, he's at 77 points. Excuse me. Kucherov's at 65 points, and the next closest is Pasternak from Boston with 66. So McKinnon's having a brilliant year, Matt. Him and McKinnon, him and Rantanen are tied with 26 goals on the Avs, and then McKinnon has 51 assists. And then Cale Makar has 44 assists as a defenseman. He just reached 300 points for his career, Matt, the second youngest defenseman in NHL history to reach 300 points.
And Cale Makar is probably like the best defenseman in the league or second best player in the league. Like, he's up there too, right, Makar?
Yeah.
So I don't get it, man. Why are these people that I follow? They make it sound like. I'll tell you later.
Oh, we can shout them out.
We don't want to shout them out because I'm going to dump all over them because we don't want to shout them out because this is ridiculous, Mike.
Well, and see, this is why I got Fubo, Matt, so I could watch the Nuggets and Avalanche here in Denver. And if you don't know that story, Matt, or if you don't know that story, people listening from wherever, Comcast and Altitude. Altitude is the channel that shows the Nuggets and Avalanche, Rapids, whatever. They have been fighting and feuding with Comcast for almost 6 years now. So people are pissed because they haven't been able to watch two championship teams. Avs won the championship 2 seasons ago. Nuggets, obviously, last year. We've had back-to-back champions in Denver, the Avalanche and then the Nuggets, and people haven't been able to watch them until the playoffs, which I guess is good because then they're on national TV. But I'm glad I got Fubo, Matt, and I've been able to watch both of these teams more than I have even last year. I only caught the Nuggets on TNT or ESPN or whatever it is, and now can finally watch Altitude. So I'm shouting out Fubo, Matt, for
there you go.
And it's streaming, man. You can cast to your TV. If you have like an Xbox or PS5, you can download the Fubo app and watch right from your gaming system.
Right from there.
Stream it on your laptop. You can have up to like 10 devices on one username, I think, or something like that. So pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know who you're following, man, but I would click unfollow ASAP.
I am ASAP. And like I was going to ask you, I was like, God, like they got some of the best players in the world. Their record's not that bad, but every time I hear about these people talk, it's Altitude Sports Radio. That's who I follow, and I get the impression that they suck, that the Avs are horrible, and maybe they're just going there, but I don't know. Anyway,
well, the Avs had a better time in Philly than the Nuggets did.
Nuggets
had a better time in Boston than the Avs. They were in the same cities almost at the same time.
I did see, because following that, I did see like Scott Hastings was calling the game with the hockey game on the radio, I think.
Yeah,
and they do that where they switch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the Nuggets won in Boston. The Avs got destroyed in Boston. The Nuggets lost in Philly, and the Avs just beat Philly yesterday 5-2. So there you go. If you're watching from Colorado, there's your quick weekend update for those teams. But yeah, that's weird that the platform that plays those teams are saying that stuff. It's kind of weird.
Well, there's a couple negative Nancys over there, so
I guess
that they go a certain way, and I just I'm a consumer. I like to consume and see what's going on, and especially a sport that I don't follow like I do other sports. When you go and get some news and you like come out of it like on a different perspective of it, then. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So we're gonna get out of here. Make sure you subscribe and like all of our social media. Follow us on X at 5280 Sports Radio, at Matt Mascarenas1. I'm at Michael Spillin. Subscribe to a YouTube channel, which is the same as the X channel or the X handle at 5280 Sports Radio. You can always comment on these videos, and we'll throw it up there on the screen or whatever. Always comment later. Go subscribe to our Spotify so you get these episodes as soon as they drop as well. And go to our home base, e5280sports.com. Again, all of our latest podcasts are on there. The video vault, the audio vault, all of our past episodes are on there. Between the Lines with Kim Becker. If you're a Colorado sports fan, she does her weekly episode every it's either at the beginning of the week or the end of the week. Lately, she's been doing Fridays, so she's recapping the week that was for Colorado sports fans. Again, go to our recent blog drops. It was funny because Andrew just posted about the Packers, Matt, and then they go and lose.
I know.
Poor Pack. But anyway, go there. Yeah. Go to e5280sports.com for all of your consumption. What are you going to say?
I'm over it, because like that side of me that was like they're not supposed to even be there, but you were there and you had a chance to win and you freaking blew it. And it's hard for me to even look at it and be mad at the youngest team in the NFL for blowing it. But gosh darn it, man, they blew it.
Who's better, by the way? Are you going with Simone Biles or Taylor Swift?
Oh God, Simone Biles by a landslide. Have you seen?
We unfortunately won't see her anymore on the sidelines. But.
Unfortunately, we won't. But we still have the chance to see Tay-Tay. And you know what? I was on the hate for Tay-Tay bandwagon, but I've gotten off of it because I remember She Made You Belong with Me. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
And she made you shake it off.
Shake it off. Like she made that. So.
Bangers. She's got some bangers.
She's got bangers out there, even though I prefer the country Tay-Tay version just because that's me and that's what I like. But she's got bangers. Yeah. And she don't know any better.
It's really not her fault.
No, it's not her fault. She's ruined Travis Kelce, why would you be mad at that?
I mean, yeah, talking about her main banger, Travis Kelce, who's his numbers have it's weird how it coincides with Taylor Swift. But
all I know is when I got a serious girlfriend in high school my junior year, and my golf game went in the trash. That's all I know.
Well, yeah,
and it's happening. The same thing's happening with Travis Kelce. He gets a serious girlfriend during the season, game goes down the trash.
Yeah. Speaking of, yeah, I know how you feel. My broadcast game has gone down with my new girlfriend. So
you're your boo boo there.
Yeah, I know how it is.
I feel you.
I know how it is. So, but anyway, speaking of Kelce, Jason Kelce called it a career, Matt.
Did he officially do it?
Well, I don't know, because if you watch their he was crying on the field. He was giving the offensive line coach a big hug. I guess he stood up in the locker room and made a speech, but according to that speech, he didn't want to make a decision after an emotional game like that. But I love the Kelce Brothers podcast, New Heights. Yep. Shout out to New Heights. He talked about that speech he gave and then got choked up again. So I don't really know if he made an official announcement, but if he did,
it looks like it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he struggled with the decision last year when they lost to the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs and his brother. But I mean, it sure does seem like it, like you said. But if he does, a hell of a career for Jason Kelce. First ballot Hall of Famer. Good dude. Seems like him and his wife do a lot for the Philly community. And an anchor for the Eagles for 13 seasons. So it'll be a hell of a career if he is done.
Yeah.
And with what, 3? I think he has 4 girls. I mean,
yeah, he's awesome.
I mean,
he's a girl dad. Yeah.
I mean, he's going to at least he'll be there now for all their stuff if he is done.
Yeah,
He's supposed to be done anyway, but
I think he's done. Everything looks like he's done, but he's trying to hold on. I think he's going to wait. I don't know how long I bet you they're not going to give him a timeline or anything like, hey, you need to let us know what's going on. If they do, that's pretty messed up, but I think he's going to do the best that he can for his teams and himself to get them in the best position to let them know when he does think but it looks like he is done. But the biggest thing with those guys like that is when it gets around that time to start preparing, to start getting, you start getting the itch again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to wait that long, but it looks like, all indication looks like he is leaning towards that way for sure.
Yeah. And again, I get not wanting to make a, I guess, rash decision right after an emotional game like that. You're pissed off and you want to be done. You're like, man, screw this. Like, prepared this hard just to end it like that. I just want to be done. I want to go home. But again, I guess that's what the offseason is for, to sit on these decisions. But I mean, if it were you, would you want to make this decision sooner than later, or do you want to see if that itch comes back? What March, April rolls around, OTAs are starting. And not only that, Matt, but you're getting. I mean, I'm sure I don't know how much, and I wish we had Nick on. Hopefully, he'll be joining us maybe for a Super Bowl preview show. But
nice.
For those dudes who retire, like, are they allowed back at the facility? Can they go work out? Can they go continue to get treatment? I don't know. But, when you're in the NFL, you're provided with so much. Any sport,
right?
You're provided with. You have an all access membership to a gym. You got all access membership to food, like your
right.
diet, whatever.
Nutrition, yeah.
Yep. I mean, if you retire, do you still get those benefits? Like, do you still? I'm sure you've made enough money to where you can buy a home gym and buy a chef if you want. But can you still have access to? I don't know.
I think there's. Yeah, I think there's some kind of the team you retire with. I think there's some like legend, legacy, whatever you have. I think that's even with the Broncos, and sometimes some coaches or some regimes or they'll come in and change things that you can do. But I would imagine that there's some kind of there's something like that you can still come back and get treatment or be a part of certain things. But I'm not 100% sure. But I would imagine there's something like that option for sure. Yeah, I would think so. And Mike, real quick, I don't know if you saw this, but I just noticed somebody, it's very around here local, just passed away. Larry Zimmer. Remember Larry Zimmer?
Yeah,
Broncos CU Buffs, broadcaster for KOA. Long time. He was on the radio for multiple. I remember him from Buffs is what I really remember him. But I'm seeing on Twitter here he just passed away, and I know I remember listening to that dude. So just before we get out of here, I wanted to hit that real quick. But R.I.P. Larry Zimmer.
There you go. And I'm going to butcher his name, but that dude from Golden State who passed away, really good friends with a lot of the Serbian players in the league, obviously including Nikola Jokic. And then Jokic goes out.
Young guy too.
And then Jokic goes out and dumps 35 on Boston. For him, I guess. I don't know.
Poor Kristaps. Do you know that's why they got him? Like, one of the biggest reasons why they got Kristaps Porzingis was because to prepare for Nikola Jokic, just to throw a body at him. Because they thought
wouldn't Embiid be the first problem?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was watching all these because I shared that Boston thing. There's Boston fans going crazy on TikTok, and they're just losing their brains. And one Boston fan was going crazy, screaming out that this is why we got him, and then this is what happens. And Nikola just destroyed Kristaps. And there was even some fouls where they weren't even getting called. Like, anyway.
Poor Chris Stapps.
Poor Zingas.
There you go. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse. Thank you, everyone, for commenting, tuning in. Once again, go to all the social media handles that you can, YouTube, Spotify, all of those, where you get your podcasts and stuff like that. And again, go to our home base, e5280sports.com. All of the content is up there as well. That's going to do it for us here on this Saturday morning. For Matt Mascarenas, I am Michael Spill. We will talk to you next week.